All right, all right, all right. So excited here. This is Lois Kofi. I am just going to go ahead and edit something here really quickly. We're having a one quick technical issue and we're going to get started. Awesome. Okay, cool. We are locked and loaded. Good afternoon. Happy Friday, everyone. This is Lois Kofi, and I'm so excited and kind of like new at this podcasting thing. If you've been following my journey this past week, I kicked off my podcast called Healthy and Wealthy and Wise. And the whole concept behind that is to bring you, the viewers, encouragement, tips, support during this time that we are all going through. Like, I don't know anybody that is not impacted by this pandemic and what's going on right now. And the first week, and the title of this topic, you'll notice, is about health, specifically mental health. And I have a huge passion for mental health. Our featured speaker and presenter today here that I'm going to interview about this topic is super passionate about it. And there's a lot of people I've been talking to lately who have been struggling. The struggle is real because a lot of people are going through trauma. And part of my mission with Healthy and Wealthy and Wise is to each week have a different person to interview, amazing people like Marnie who can share their story, who are relatable, who are real people, just like you, just like me. And again, we're all in this together. You've probably seen that hashtag, in this together, and I really feel that way. And so today's topic is health. Next week's going to be about wealth. And the third week is going to be about wisdom. So I'll talk more about our guest speaker that's coming on next week at the end. But I'm going to go ahead and kick this off and introduce my friend, who I love dearly, and someone I've known, gosh, Marnie, I think it's probably been 5 years, maybe 6 years. I've lost track because it feels like it's been many lifetimes, right? And so Marnie's actually located in Minneapolis, Minnesota. I'm here in Southern California. I just moved here, so that's how I know Marnie. And she was amazing at massage, and I just fell in love with her spirit. She's actually been in the health and wellness industry for 25 years too, so we had so much in common. We believe in holistic health. We believe in, prevention as much as possible versus correction. We believe in helping you be your highest and best version of yourself. And she's got a story. She was going through depression as a teen, which you wouldn't believe this. You would think that was just maybe 10 years ago because she looks amazing, truly. But ultimately, she's overcome some stuff. And she's very much a mental health advocate and helps people, navigate that journey. And so I wanted her to first and foremost be my guest speaker because it's such a relevant topic right here and right now. So, Marnie, what I'd love to do is, I know you gave me a little bit of your bio, but I really would love for you to share more with us, who you are, a little bit about your background, and most importantly, your why. Simon Sinek says, start with why. Why are you so passionate about mental health? And I know you have a personal story, so I can't wait for you to share that with everyone.
Great. Well, thank you so much, Lois. I feel so honored to be a part of your podcast and this great cause. I think you nailed it when you said that so much of us now, especially during this pandemic, are experiencing things that we've never experienced before. So it's wonderful that you have this platform that you're using to reach out and to share information and tools. So that's beautiful. And thank you.
You're welcome.
As far as my story goes, I was in sales, my first career, and my second career has been in the health and wellness industry in body work. I've been doing massage for 25 years and just always tapping into all of the different resources that are out there for us that can help us to stay as healthy as we can. So,
awesome.
As far as growing up, I started having depression when I was in my teen years. So the last couple years of high school were extremely difficult. Um, being a teenager is, the biggest struggle, I think, to begin with, but then to layer depression on top of that, it just, added dynamics that I just couldn't deal with, didn't know how to deal with. My parents didn't know how to deal with it. I was the problem child. I searched for all kinds of things to self medicate with, that being your caffeine, your alcohol, and which I think is the easiest thing for most of us to reach for. Um, but boy, I'll tell you, it was really a struggle growing up, and
Mm.
even into my adult life, it's affected so many different areas of my life, all areas of my life, really. So.
That's powerful. Thank you so much. Because I know there's so many people that can relate. Even now, teenagers, I mean, goodness, you have teenagers who don't even think they'll have a graduation. Their prom is canceled. There's all these things that are impacting them, and mentally, physically, and spiritually. And I know that this is a stigma. A lot of people don't want to talk about this, right? Like, even sharing your story, I've shared my story of depression, anxiety, and even having suicidal thoughts. It didn't happen until, my late 20s, early 30s. So I can't even imagine having had that, start in my teen years. So you're really a true testimony to, experience and life experience. How did you go from that, and I know you were on, and I should probably say this, neither one of us is a doctor. We're not going to make any medical claims here today, guys. Okay, we're just here to support and encourage. But I do know that you shared with me, I think it was like a couple of years ago, that you actually got off your antidepressants and went the natural route. And how did you get to the root cause? Like for you, and I know it's different for everyone, what do you think was the root cause of your depression, if you've come to that, and how did you get off the medications?
Yeah. Ultimately, our gut microbiome is one of the most amazing aspects of our body that is connected to our brain. So, the gut brain connection, the gut brain axis, um, 80% of our immune cells are in our gut. And so, that's kind of the area that I tapped into first, is to start to rebuild my gut.
Awesome. Wonderful. The gut brain. Can you educate? I know a ton on this, but I want to hear firsthand from you. Tell us more about the gut brain and how that impacts our head brain.
Well, we have a lot of neurotransmitters that are actually made in our gut, contrary to most, information that's out there right now. People are taking pharmaceutical drugs to affect the brain, when really, if we start with our gut, that's where most of these neurotransmitters are made. And so, if we can heal the gut and create an environment where all of these beautiful neurotransmitters are made, and then work with the vagus nerve that connects the gut and the brain so that these neurotransmitters can actually get to the brain, it's amazing.
That's so powerful. That is so awesome. And how do you remember kind of like a beginning and an end of your timeline? Because I've worked with naturopathic doctors, I've worked with healers. I'll share a little bit of my story as well. It took me probably about 5 years because a lot of it was self-discovery. But how long did it take you to get to where you are today?
Over the years, it's been just a constant learning process about the different tools that are out there. But I would say the most significant has been in the last couple years, where I have, um, due to a beautiful friend of mine who introduced me to some supplements that were geared towards mental wellness
Mhm.
and the gut brain connection. That was kind of the first time that I actually um, witnessed a significant shift. I mean, I have tried so many different things over the years, from diet, exercise, the pharmaceuticals, like you had mentioned, and then acupuncture. I mean, just everything complimentary that you can think of. I've just kind of
Mhm.
added to my toolbox. And this was the one that made the most significant change, that I was able to wake up and be like, wow, I feel good. I feel different. And it was amazing. So that was, a combination of the psychobiotics, the ones that work with the brain. They're very
Okay.
specific now. So we have all these beautiful probiotics out there, and they're very specific. And so taking the ones that are working with the brain can make all the difference in the world. And so I just wasn't taking the right ones until now. So
That's a powerful thing. That's a powerful thing because we do know, and we always want to make this disclaimer too, what works for Marnie, what works for me. Everybody has their own journey, right? And we totally support, like I'm a big supporter of East meets West, turn medicine, whatever philosophies and whatever paths we all gotta go. Like I know for me it took me 5 years to overcome that depression because I also had babies during that time. I also it took me 5 years to wean myself off of sugar and coffee, like literally 5 years. There's no Coffeeholics Anonymous or Sugarholics Anonymous. I couldn't check myself into some place that would actually understand that those two tools for me, like you said, that was brilliant. Understanding where we turn to coping mechanisms and things that really do impact us in a way that is challenging and we don't even know it. Like I had no idea that coffee and sugar was attacking my stomach lining and was making that impact. So if you had to give someone who's listening some advice on what you've experienced in your journey, whether they've just started experiencing depression because of this pandemic or they've struggled with it for decades, do you have a starting point that you can recommend to them?
Oh, there are so many. Just like you mentioned, the caffeine and the sugar. Sugar is one of our worst enemies and creates inflammation systemically throughout our system. And so, as hard as it is to stay away from sugar, is huge. We want to reduce inflammation within our system and reduce the cortisol hormone that gets released. And so, increasing your stress resilience and um, reducing inflammation is huge. So those are some of the easiest things you can do as far as just diet alone, right?
Awesome. Well, what other things, because you said this earlier, and I think this is really powerful, because sometimes we, and I say you and I, we have depression and we just muscle through it, right? We're like, it's normal. I don't want to talk about it, but I find that we do need to talk about it. We do need to get it out there. But if you could pinpoint, like when you look back, you said every area of your life was impacted. And I know this is, I really appreciate your transparency and your vulnerability in this. So share whatever you feel led to share. But can you give a couple specific examples of how and which areas it impacted your life? Because I think that's important for people to recognize and kind of look in the mirror and say, whoa, I recognize what she's talking about. That's me and it's hurting me and it's not good. And I want to change that. So can you give us maybe 2 examples or whatever?
Yeah, I would say relationships is one that has been always a challenge because people who don't have depression don't understand it and seem to often take it personally. And so when you're having a bad day or that dark cloud is just looming over your head and you just can't get out from underneath it, the people that are closest to us, our family, our friends, our partners, if they don't experience that, they don't understand. And so trying to have an open conversation about what you're going through and helping them to better understand it and to not take it personally is, I would say, one of the best things is to open up that communication, have that transparent conversation about what mental illness is, and share what you need as a person. Everybody's needs are different, right? And so when you're talking with your family, your kids, your partner, just put a disclaimer out that, hey, today is not a good day for me. And, I need you to support me in this way, or whatever it is that you feel you need so that the relationship doesn't suffer. So I think that's a huge one.
That's powerful, right? Getting to learn to ask and communicate. Because I think, would you say that that was challenging for you to learn? Because I think a lot of times, especially in the Midwest, right, we don't want to voice, no matter if you're female or male, right? We don't necessarily want to voice our needs or voice our pain, because that's just not socially acceptable, maybe. Or it's just, it's like the old adage, how are you, Marnie? Oh, I'm fine. Just the knee-jerk response, and because you don't want to impose your thoughts or your bad feelings or something on to someone else, because you don't want to go there, and it just doesn't seem socially acceptable. Would you say that's true too?
Absolutely. And I think a lot of people don't know how to respond if you say, oh, wow, I'm having a really bad day today. People don't really know where to go with that, because normally, just like you said, everybody just says, oh, I'm doing fine, I'm doing great, and that's kind of the shield that we put up, because otherwise it could be, even for us talking about it, it could be so overwhelming, the emotions that surface, even for us. And so to be able to just quickly say I'm okay, takes away all that pressure from actually getting into the deepness of what the depression is.
Awesome. Now, what other areas, or if you can think of one more thing that it impacted you over the many years that you went through that? Because would you say like 30 years, give or take, or 20?
Yeah.
I don't want to tell your age.
I know. Well, what's interesting, Lois, is that I am 55.
Woo!
And my parents still to this day do not recognize that I have depression. So I can share with them all of the things that I've gone through. I can share articles. So it is really challenging, even when the closest people to you, who you would look to for support, don't acknowledge that there's anything wrong. So that's when you have to reach out to other people, reach out to your tribe, to find the people that can say, hey, I'm here for you if you're not having that great day. Yeah. You can call me anytime. But to not go back to the ones that don't recognize it, because that's going to create more anxiety, more stress, and a deeper state of depression, because you want them to acknowledge it and to be there for you. Right. But maybe they just don't have the coping skills to do that.
Wow, that's so phenomenal. That's amazing. You hit the nail on the head too. I think that's also the other silent fear, why people don't want to talk about it, is the stigma. And oftentimes, for better or for worse, our family can be, amazing, but also can be our worst enemies, and not always the best supporters. I don't know if it's just proximity, you grew up together, whatever the case may be. So that's powerful, because I know every year the suicide rate seems to go up. And I know now we have 26 million people unemployed. I remember when I went through the Great Recession and I lost everything, I just felt so alone and so scared. And I have a huge heart for what you've gone through and what people are going through right now. And you made me think of something that, there's that saying, you are the sum of the 5 closest people that you're associated with, and sometimes I think maybe you just got to find new friends, or you got to find those people and have that conversation. Like what I did was I had my top 5 people during my depression and anxiety period. I had a conversation. I said, if you see my phone number on your phone, I need you to answer. Like, I'm having a moment. And all 5 of them were like, absolutely. And so something like that maybe is a tip people can consider when they're in that funk. I mean, I've had people reach out to me just this morning and say, I'm having a really crappy day. And right away, I'm like, oh, I'm here for you. And I'm sure you get that now, like with your clients, with your sharing your story more out in the open. How do you help people? How do you support people when they're going through that journey? Because you're so compassionate and so loving. I'd love for you to share that.
I think number one is just like you said, knowing that to be there. When you see that phone number come up on the screen, to answer it and to just be a resource that people know they can reach out and that you're going to be there. You can go for a walk with them. You can talk if that's all they need is to just have somebody to talk with. That's awesome. Um, sharing different types of um, resources also that they can reach out to during this time is huge. There are a lot of different organizations that will offer support, lifelines. If you are in a suicidal state, you can reach out to those. But I think just being there is the number one key for people to just know that they have a support system, because feeling alone and isolated, especially now where that's basically all of our situations. I mean, I live alone, and so I'm self isolating and have been in my home for over a month now by myself. And it's challenging. It's opening up, so many doors that I never even knew were there, about how I feel, um, my aloneness and what that means for me. And being able to reach out to more and more people, I think is the biggest help ever, is to just know that you have people on your side that you can reach out to, say hello, have them be there for you.
That's awesome. I have a saying too, when in doubt, reach out. Like there's even an app. I don't know if you've used this app. It's called Marco Polo.
Yes.
And okay, so you know what I'm talking about. So you can leave video messages for people. And you open up the app, and the first thing, because of the pandemic, it says, before I can even record a message for someone, it says, have you reached out to 3 people today? And so you just never know when you reach out to someone and just say, hey, how are you? I sometimes want to reach out and strangle people on Facebook because I'm getting more and more people just sending me sales pitches on Messenger.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just like, dude, like, this, my mom just died this month and my brother died in February. And I'm just like, do you have any idea what you're doing right now? So having compassion and just checking in. You've been amazing as a friend to me, and that's why we're so close, is just because that's who you are and that's what you do. And I was going to mention this too. I didn't mention it because I wanted to see if there was anybody that wanted to ask a question. I know Ryan is tuning in. We have had several, up to 10 viewers. So if anybody does have a question, and I know, that this may be a maybe private question, I'm going to give Marnie's contact information at the end. So if you want to reach out to her or me, if you have any mental health concerns or questions, please do so. But if anybody has any question, you can go ahead and put something in the comments, and I'm going to talk to Marnie a little bit longer here, probably about another 5-6 minutes, but I didn't want to forget about that. Is there anything else you want to share before we kind of wrap it up, Marnie, that you've learned that we haven't talked about yet, that you really want people to consider as they go through or experience depression, or maybe they know someone who's experiencing depression?
I would just say to know that there are alternative and natural ways to become healthy, and focusing on your gut health is, I would say, the most important, and systemically across the board for all different systems of our body, our heart health, our lungs, hormone imbalances. So people who have thyroid or diabetes, we're seeing a lot of um, results where people have been able to get off their medications, or at least reduce different medications as their body becomes healthier. All these different systems start to function at a higher level. And so that's been like one of the most amazing things to see, is that it's not just the mental wellness, it's also different levels at a physical level. So I would say just tap into where you're at with what's going on with your body. Start with the gut and then just kind of see what happens.
That's awesome. And see, I wish I would have known that. I learned the hard way as well. I even do annual poop tests. I get my poop checked out just to make sure that there's no candida, yeast, bacteria overgrowth, because if the bad guys are overwhelming, yeah, you're right. There's no happy hormones floating up there, and you just can't. And not all probiotics are created equal. I know you have some amazing products, so if people want to inquire about that, I encourage them, I implore them to please do. And I know you have a free gift that you wanted to give the audience, and I will post that in the comment section when we're done. But can you explain what the free gift is and how it can help people?
We have a mental wellness conference or summit that's coming up. It's May 14th through the 17th, and it's a collection of 30 plus professionals that have come together to just share their knowledge, their information in video form that you can tap into. And during this time when we're in isolation, what better way to just have these resources at your fingertips that you can go back and listen to that might help offer different tools from diet, exercise, all these kind of things that are out there to just help elevate us as much as we can during this time.
That's awesome. I put a banner on here. You said 14th through the 16th, right?
14th through the 17th, I'm sorry.
17th.
Yeah.
Okay. No. I think I made the mistake on that. Well, we'll make sure that we post that information if you guys can put that in your calendar. And you said it was free, right? So they can just register.
Yeah, it's free during the time that the conference is going to be held. If you'd like to update or upgrade, there's a VIP pass, and that you can tap into to have access to all the videos right now at your fingertips for unlimited time. So,
Oh my gosh, that's amazing. That's amazing. And I want to make sure that people have I have one more question to close it out for you, but I want to make sure people have your contact information. So here's Marnie's website. So please check that out and gain some knowledge and some value. She has 25 years, again, guys, 25 years, and I know she's had thousands and thousands of clients. She's one of the best body workers in the Twin Cities that I've ever met, probably I would say the best. So I know right now she's not able to, provide the body work, but she's still a great mental person to talk to, mental health conversationalist, and can at least give you some guidance. And this is her phone number if you want to reach out to her as well. So thank you so much, Marnie. I always close, well, I say always, this is my first official podcast video. So thank you again for being my first and for talking about a topic that's, I know, very near and dear to your heart and mine. When I say the title of my podcast is Healthy and Wealthy and Wise, and I chose that title because I love the phrase Benjamin Franklin, coined, early to bed, early to rise makes a man healthy, wealthy, and wise. But it's not about going to bed early. It's not about that. It's just more about what, to me, I learned from the recession. To me, what I learned when I lost my health, and I lost my mind, really. All three things they hit rock bottom during the Great Recession. And I know right now people are going through some similar stuff. And so when you hear that phrase, healthy and wealthy and wise, what does that mean to you?
I think that being healthy physically is kind of the one aspect because I value that so much. And it's made such a significant difference in my life. The wise part is, I think, always the health or the wealthy and wise, I think, kind of for me go together because if we become wise with all of what we're doing to educate ourselves and kind of invest back into ourselves, that creates wealth. And so it's not necessarily a monetary wealth that I have in my head. I think of it more as like the wealth that we create within us. And hopefully, once you've created that kind of wealth, that will transpose into the financial.
That's awesome. Yeah, more of an abundance philosophy, it sounds like,
Yeah,
right? That's
absolutely.
awesome. Great. Well, thank you so much for being a guest here today. Again, we will, this is streaming on YouTube, so it's here for forever. And of course, it's here on my fan page, and you guys all have Marnie's contact information. If not, you can come back and get that from her, and her free gift will post as soon as we're done here. Thank you again, Marnie, for being here, for sharing your story. It's very, very, very relevant and powerful. So thank you for being awesome.
Thank you so much for the opportunity, Lois, to be on your podcast. This is so awesome and so wonderful that you're doing it.
My pleasure, guys. Well, we're all in this together. Just signing off for now, guys. Again, be healthy, be wealthy, be wise, and receive these tools as ways to improve yourself and improve your life in the here and now and for many, many years